The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Thursday, October 11th, 2018, Season 14, Episode number 58. Welcome to another edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to get into the injuries, make sure you guys are up to date on what's happening there. We're going to talk about Alan Hurns and the comments that are swirling around him, both from Jacina Anderson as well as what he said in the locker room yesterday in response. And then we'll also get into the Jaguars defense. Dave has a scouting report for us, going to tell us what's happening with that defense, which may be the best unit in the NFL. We'll talk about that. They're all right. Okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's get into the injury update. There were some interesting notes from the injury update I think we need to discuss a little bit. The guys that did not participate yesterday, David Irving, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sean Lee, Joe Thomas. Let's first catch up on David Irving. David, you were just out at practice. Is he in the building today?
Everybody that you just listed except Joe Thomas is in the building and practicing, and that includes Sean Lee. Yeah, you heard me. You heard what I said.
All right.
I mean,
you're getting a little boisterous, so blow up at me.
Always, stay tuned for the injury report to see what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Because going through pat and go in the first 15 minutes of practice does not mean that he's part of the game plan, but Sean Lee's moving around. He's doing stuff. David Irving is here. David Irving is at practice.
Sean has been watching those two rookies.
Yeah, it's not fun when people take your, you want to win games, but it's kind of nice.
We know how that goes.
I'm just saying.
You want to win games, but it's kind of nice, sort of, when you're like, oh,
they need me.
They need me. Yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
Sean's out there. David Irving is out there. Really, I thought about you immediately, which, what you said about David yesterday. Don't judge until you know all the details. Well, very interesting report about him in the Dallas Morning News this morning.
Saying what?
Basically detailing what he's been going through the last week, and it sounds like a very contentious custody battle and just all kinds of really unfortunate stuff that he's been having to deal with. So it makes a little more sense why he hasn't been here.
And as we know, when it comes to kids, all bets off. You got to get the kids taken care of first, right?
I wouldn't know, but you got
Well, that's what he had mentioned right before training camp too.
Yeah.
That he was having to deal with that and gonna be battling the custody of his kid. So
we'll see how that goes. But for the moment, he is back in the building. As Nick said, we'll see if he's lining up on that first snap or at some point during that game. Because until that happens, you just don't know. He's been out for quite a while now, dealing with the suspension. It wasn't just this stuff. It was a suspension, plus he missed training camp. There was a lot of stuff that's been going on that's had him out of commission here for a while.
I'm going to clarify this because I got a few tweets about it. What I said yesterday was figure it out. That's what it needs to be figured out, and he's had a lot of time to do that. And so, yeah, I understand. I mean, I have kids. I get that they trump everything, but what I'm saying is you also have an obligation. It doesn't mean it's first or second. It just means that you do have an obligation for your employer who's counting on you and your teammates, and so you've had a lot of time. That's what that was. There was a lot of time to figure it out, and here we are. It didn't sneak up on anybody. October, your fifth game of the season. So I understand he's got a lot going on, and I don't envy him for that, but I'm just saying what I said was he needs to get it. He needs to get it all figured out, and I think that it easier said than done. I'm not judging him, whatever, but he's had a lot of time to do that, and the Cowboys are hoping that he can get things together. So for his sake, because it's one way he can take care of his family. Well,
sometimes that doesn't depend on you. That depends on other people. So it's not like it's necessarily on your own timing that it all just falls back on him and his responsibility.
Figure it out.
Honestly, that's what happens. Sometimes you get into these tough situations where there is nobody at fault, and you and I know that saying my wife always says, it ain't your fault, but it's your problem.
There it is.
You got to figure it out because at the end of the day, you still do have a responsibility to figure it out, and that's the hard part in all these kinds of situations. Any kind of situation you're dealing with family, you still got to figure it out, and like Nick said, I don't envy him. I hope it all works out for him. It looks like at this point, at least he's back in practice, and hopefully everything on the other end, which in my opinion is the more important thing. Everything on the other end is at a point that's manageable for him so that he can come back to work and really be completely into work.
And, I'll say this, it's no different than Sean Lee with an injury. Yeah, you can put Sean Lee on the field, but if you can't run from A to B, you're not helping me. And if David Irving isn't mentally right to go out and play, even though he's still thinking in his mind is somewhere else, then he's really not going to help him either. So it's not just a physical thing; it's a mental thing. So he's got to be able to get both of those in order.
All right, let's talk about some of the limited participants yesterday. Cheeto Bay still dealing with the ankle injury, was limited. Malik Collins with the knee was limited. Tyron Smith limited with an ankle. And then Taco Charlton, he's limited with a thumb, and I'd heard a report that supposedly he has a cast now. Tell us what you know about that.
It's a benefit of being in the building is you get to see that type of stuff. I don't know if he's going to wear it during the game, but like these guys have stuff that they use to help them get through the week all the time. Yeah. Like Daniel Ross had a splint that had I don't even know what it was, but it was like he had a little carrying case that he was carrying with him, like it was a stimulator or like saline or so. I don't know, but and I was just like,
that's scary.
What the hell? But then he's fine and he plays on game day. We see it because we're here, and
an interesting story about that, something like that. It was when Brandon Carr was still here, and I saw him in the hall one day, and I just came up. You give a guy handshake, whatever. I shook his hand. He was like, oh, and he just like almost fell to the ground. He showed me his fingers. Fingers like swollen and just like it looked horrible. But he played the week before, and he was back out there playing the next week. It's just a part of football.
When you're not getting interceptions, like that's fine. You can do that.
But you might have to knock down a pass, right?
If you're not doing that, you're fine. Not till Baltimore did it go getting picks.
Go ahead.
It's true. No, but yeah, so Jason Garrett so the media saw Taco's cast on Tuesday. You're like, oh, is Taco okay? And somebody asked Garrett on Wednesday, and like Garrett was almost like incredulous, like, yeah, no, he's going to practice.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, he's going to play. Like, it's fine. So, it's not great when
it's called a practice cast.
It's not great when you need something like that.
Taco.
But it's pretty common. I think Taco's going to be fine. Everybody you just listed was there today. Malik
so we'll
was
see
there.
if they were limited or not.
Cheeto was there. Yeah, like I said, a practice reporter always tells the real story. Whether they're at the media portion doesn't really mean anything. But they're all in uniform doing something, which is a good sign on a Thursday.
Did we ever really talk about Cheeto Bay and what happened with him in that game? I got a fan that just asked me, like, are y'all going to talk about it? And I don't know that we ever really kind of got into it from the standpoint of what happened there during the game. Were there really any answers from the coaching staff about why they felt like he couldn't play? Because it sounded like after the game when there was a whole group interviewing him, it sounded like what he was saying was, I was willing to gut it out. I wasn't great. I wasn't 100%, but nobody in this locker room is 100% at this point in the season. But I was told at halftime basically that they didn't think I had it and they were going to sit me. So did the coaches ever talk about it?
Jason Garrett had said after the game that his ankle was bothering him all week, and so they decided to make that decision. Jordan Lewis was 100% because he hadn't done anything all season, so he was a guy that was pretty healthy. And I think they looked at it and said, all right, Cheeto at 60% here is not better than Jordan Lewis at 100 right now. I don't think that means he lost his job or anything like that, but you need to be at 100% to chase DeAndre Hopkins around the field, and even then you're probably not going to stop him. So I think they went. They said, all right, this, like you said, I think this isn't working.
It was kind of weird because when he was talking to the media after the day and someone asked him whose decision was this, his answer was undisclosed. Right. And just using that word, when you think about an injury, that's nothing bad for you to say, my ankle was hurting, I was taken out of the game because of that. But the way that it was said, and then certain things, how it was perceived around, I know Christy Scale, she's a sideline reporter.
I'm very happy.
And she's a great reporter. She does her job amazingly. Yeah. And she was giving some apparently wrong facts during the game, and then comes to find out later on that Jason Garrett says.
You know what, though? Not to cut you off. I think really what she was upset with was the other way around. I think what she was being told was that it wasn't injury related.
Right. That's what I think.
Exactly.
That's what Amber said.
Yeah.
But then no.
But then Garrett said
then
it was
she finds
related.
out that it wasn't injury related.
Right.
But just certain things that just makes it kind of weird.
When a guy leaves a game because of injury, there's a whole protocol for it. Like the Christie scales of the word, get word on what it is. They bring it up to the press box. There's an announcement what it is. Is he questionable? Is he out? Whatever. Cheeto could have kept playing, which prevented any of that from needing to happen. Like
because essentially, let's say that you're saying if Jordan goes out there and gets hurt, Cheeto's going back in the game. He's not out of the game. He's not. But don't you have to still report that and just say that his return is probable? Because we hear that in the press box a lot too, right?
No, I don't know what the exactly written protocol is, but he didn't leave. Like he didn't have to be helped off the field. They were just like, hey man, you look a little gimpy out there. We're worried about you. We want you to sit. So you don't have to report that.
That makes sense.
Just like you would make the call with anybody else. You would just say, whatever the reason is.
Why would he answer undisclosed though, like that?
Because he's a cornerback. He's got pride, and he doesn't want to show and tell anyone that he got benched or that he's hurt for this week. Yeah. And he's still dealing with something, and maybe
to get to the heart of it, if he gets through this week of practice, okay, he's going to be one of your two outside corners. Like that's he didn't lose his job. Yep.
I agree with Amber that it did seem a little strange the way it went down.
It absolutely was strange.
But that also just makes me think that he didn't necessarily think. Maybe he didn't agree with the assessment that the coaches made. Maybe he thought, hey, I'm fine. I can play, which you do expect players to say that, right? But it sounded like he wasn't necessarily, it was almost like I have to reluctantly say the party line, but I think I was able to play fine. And that's at least the way I took it, but who knows? Who knows if that was
You're dealing with a lot of things there. You're dealing with the pride of a cornerback, which, you're also dealing with Jason Garrett not trying to give away anything what might happen in this game. You're also dealing with the trainers, and we've dealt with them, the athletic trainers, and we know that if they bring a player back and he's not 100% or whatever it happens, and you write about it or talk about it or anybody discusses anything about that, then that's a sensitive topic. So you're dealing with a lot of things right there that happen. I think the bottom line is if Cheeto's ready to play, he'll start.
All right, let's go on. Let's talk a little bit about. Actually, let's take our first break. When we come back, I do want to next get into the Jacksonville Jaguar defense. Talk a little bit about that. Let Dave give us a scouting report. In the third segment, we'll talk about Allen Hurns and some of the stuff that's swirling around him. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you're like me and you love, if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than specs and features as well. You got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. To experience one for yourself, visit your local Texas John Deere dealer or go to myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It's the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're having fun today. Let's keep it going. We're going to talk about this Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And Dave, this is going to be a tough one.
Woo! Yeah, they're good. 292 yards per game, 191 passing yards per game, best in the league, third best scoring defense in the league. middle of the pack against the run, but
okay.
I mean, I think they'll gladly try to use their personnel to shut down Ezekiel Elliott, knowing that Cowboys probably won't be able to throw the ball very well against them. This is my main impression from watching the Jags is I just think they're perfectly suited for the way you need to play defense in the NFL today, which, big surprise. Like, they've had a ton of money and a ton of draft picks to spend on these guys, but they don't need to rush with more than their front four because their front four is so good. It hasn't been, they got the nickname Saxonville last year. They haven't been that good so far this year. They're middle of the pack. They got 11 sacks so far, but Calais Campbell, he's still doing his thing.
And he is hurt right now, right? I thought he was limited yesterday in practice.
Limited,
maybe
yeah.
He's limited?
But,
okay.
I'm expecting him to play in this game. Right. 3 sacks in 5 games, 17.5 since he signed with the Jags last year.
Good signing.
You got Yannick Ngakoue. Shouts out the University of Maryland.
Got a feeling that's going to get butchered in the press box this week.
Very, very much so. It's Ngakoue. So
I don't even want to guess what he's going to say.
Yeah. 22 career sacks, 2 so far this year, 12 last year. Really solid bookends. Malik Jackson is a hell of a 3-tech. They gave him a gob of money after Denver won the Super Bowl. And then why not trade for Marcel Darius, who was a top 5 pick, to play nose tackle for you? So they don't use more than that to rush very often. Like a little bit, but not very often.
Fowler?
Fowler's like not even a big part of this.
And he was a first-round pick, what overall? 3?
Third overall.
He's third on the depth chart.
He's third on third between both defensive end. Okay, I thought
they
you were
are
third at one of the defensive
They
ends.
are using Taven Bryan, who was this year's first-round pick, a guy that the Cowboys liked a lot. He was a tackle coming out of college, and I'm sure he'll play some tackle at some point, but they're using him at end right now to spell Campbell. But then and as good as those guys are, this is the gross part. As good as those guys are, the back half of this defense is what really makes you envious when you watch them because they're so well suited for the way the NFL likes to play these days. They have 2 super freak athletic linebackers in Telvin Smith and Miles Jack who never come off the field. I saw them play base like twice. Like they don't need to because Telvin Smith and Miles Jack can do it all. Like they can cover guys out of the slot. They can cover tight ends and running backs. Depending on the receiver, they could probably run with a receiver if they need to.
Where was Telvin Smith drafted?
5th round. He had some big character flags, which have not cropped.
5th round? I thought he was a 3rd-round pick.
Telvin Smith was drafted significantly later than Anthony Hitchens.
Okay.
Yeah, that draft. He had some off-the-field stuff that bumped him down, but it has not been. I mean, he signed a second contract in Jacksonville. They're building this thing around him, at least at that level.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got your DBs. You got Jalen Ramsey, 5th overall pick.
So much to talk about there.
No,
right?
yeah. Well, we'll get to that. You got Jalen Ramsey. You got AJ Bouye, who they gave a gob of money to out of Houston. Ramsey gets the headlines. He's really, really good too. He can do it all. Tayshaun Gibson and Barry Church are your safeties. Y'all remember Barry. You should.
I'm just playing.
Tyler Patman.
Love him.
Tyler Patman.
He's doing what?
He's your slot corner.
Really?
Yes.
He's still playing.
He's still playing. He's playing well-ish.
Really? I was going to say, really?
He's the 6th DB in this backfield.
Yeah. And in a defense like this, you can have some of those kind of guys that look really good because you got such good players everywhere else.
I want to get to that when I finish. And then you have Ronnie Harrison out of Alabama, who's their 3rd safety. So that's 6 guys that play a lot, and they all play because they're all interchangeable. Like I just talked, like these linebackers are so athletic. Like Miles Jack could probably play safety if he really needed to for some reason. Well, Barry Church is basically a big nickel. You saw him do that here some, but he's essentially their 3rd linebacker a lot of the time. So is Ronnie Harrison. If they do blitz, they typically blitz a safety off the edge. They love to put safeties in the box, and they'll flip-flop them. So, like, Barry Church will be playing center field with Gibson up on the line 1 snap, and then they'll flip. And they do it pre-snap, too. Like there's basically 7 guys behind the line that can all do a little bit of everything, and 2 corners
that can lock it
who
down.
can lock it down. So, like, You just kind of have this nebulous glob of athletic players that move everywhere they need to be before the snap. And and the reason why I think it works so well, and this is a pass-happy league, and they are well suited to handle the pass. They got 3 safeties who can do it. They've got the best cornerback tandem in the league and 2 athletic linebackers. So what aren't they good at? They are very aggressive, and I wonder if the Cowboys can use that against them. Smith and Jack overrun things a lot because I think they are so instinctive and they trust their athleticism so much. They definitely can run themselves out of plays. Maybe some misdirection could work there. And I don't think the safeties, specifically Barry Church, I think we remember that. I mean, he's not a cover safety. He's more of a hitter, linebacker guy. So maybe you can take advantage of that. I'm not trying to win against these cornerbacks. I know that.
You've got to be able to. I mean, if these linebackers can run, then obviously, they're not going to be as strong as you would think. I mean, they are super freak players, but you could, I would think if you can get the linemen on them, that's where you're going to have to do something with. I mean, because if you try to run wide all day long, I bet you those guys will chase you down. You're gonna have to get to the second level and get Zach Martin on Miles Jack or on what's the other linebacker's name? Telvin Smith.
Telvin Smith, yeah.
I mean, just look at Telvin Smith, and you wouldn't, if you just saw him, you wouldn't say, oh, that's a linebacker in the NFL. So as fast as they are, you're going to have to combat that with running at them and trying to run over them. And this team hasn't really been a good mauling type team, but they're going to have to get there.
I trust Ramsey and Bouye and Gibson to a degree. Like, they're going to handle their thing. Church and Patman and Harrison, you see him.
The former Cowboys, yeah.
Good point. Former Cowboys and the rookie. Yeah,
Right.
good point.
Right.
I didn't even think about that, but
everybody else is good.
You see him mess up their assignments from time to time. Against Kansas City, like Sammy Watkins, it looked like they were playing a deep zone, and he literally just settled behind the safety and was standing there. Dude didn't even know where Watkins was. So you do see some breakdowns, but not from the cornerbacks, which I'm curious about that because for so long it was well, who's traveling with Dez? If Dez was on this team, I bet Ramsey would follow him around. He followed Tyreek Hill everywhere last week. He can do that, but he doesn't need to for this team. I think he's probably just going to camp out on the left side, and whoever's over there is probably not going to be a part of the play, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So I think it's about finding mismatches elsewhere. I think this could be a big week for the tight ends. Well, could being the variable word, if they're up for the challenge.
But the way you talk about the linebackers, that ain't an easy task either, it sounds like.
Nothing's going to be easy. That's they lost to Kansas City 30-14.
Yeah, that's a different offense.
Not only that, but they didn't play bad. It was 10-0 late in the second quarter, and that was after Blake Bortles had already thrown a couple red zone picks, and then I think they give up a field goal. So their worst half of the year, they're down 13-0. Again, that's after their offense had already squandered chances at points.
Yeah.
And then Bortles tries to set up a screen and throws it right to the Kansas City defensive lineman for a pick six, and they're down 20-0 through no fault of their own, and it just got away from them. I put that mainly on Bortles. It's not like Pat Mahomes was just zipping up and down the field.
This was definitely the toughest outing for Pat Mahomes that he's faced this season. He was not moving the ball up and down the field as he normally does.
He didn't throw a touchdown, I don't believe. I think he did. He ran for
one. I know he ran one.
He ran one. He finished, I believe, with no touchdowns and a pick. So the score line is a little bit misleading there. So I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see him in nickel and even dime on a regular basis.
So in other words, what you're telling me is it's really going to be dependent on the defense. So if the Cowboys win this game, it's going to be dependent on their defense actually playing so well to where they're getting turnovers to actually put them in position and or score. That's how you have to beat this team.
I'm sure Brian said this on the other show, but Blake Bortles is the great X factor in all of this because you probably know what you're going to get from Dak. He's not going to play as terrible as Bortles does. He's probably not going to set the world on fire. Bortles has the potential to just sink them. If he plays the way he did in Kansas City, he could absolutely just blow this game for them. You're right. If the Dallas defense can play a really good game and hopefully get some takeaways, I think that's their best bet because, they're giving up 17 points per game. I can't imagine the Cowboys scoring more than 20.
Offensively.
I mean, if they score more than 20, it's going to because they got a defensive or special teams touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think it may be even less than that against a defense this good. Like that number probably is closer to about 13, I would guess.
I am curious. I think this defensive line is a decent matchup for the Cowboys. Like Calais Campbell is gigantic.
Yes.
He's
6'7"?
He's 6'8", 300, or he's listed at 6'8", 300. Yeah. And it's really like it's the quicker, more athletically freakish guys that give Tyron Smith problems.
Yeah.
So that seems favorable. And then Ngakoue is really good. He's more on the small side. It's weird. Ngakoue plays more on the left side and Campbell plays more on the right side, but Ngakoue is the smaller of the two. You would think he would play on the right side. And they do flip-flop, but they usually stay where they're at. So I don't know. I think as good as they are, I think this is a much more favorable situation for Tyron and Lyle Collins than last week, obviously. So maybe buy Dak some time. Maybe if he's got more time to throw, he can find some lanes against this secondary, but it's going to be tough.
All right. Actually, I wanted to get into – I'm actually going to save this till tomorrow. I wanted to do some matchups, not really matchups, some comparisons, because there are two players on both of these teams that will be – for the duration of their careers that will be linked together. I'm talking about Jalen Smith, Miles Jack, and I'm talking about Jalen Ramsey and Zeke Elliott. I think I'm going to save that till tomorrow. We're going to talk about how you look at those two comparisons and what the Cowboys did in selecting one versus the other, and whether they maybe should have done the other. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But let's go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, I do want to talk a little bit about Allen Hurns and some of the stuff that's swirling around him. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than specs and features as well. You got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. To experience one for yourself, visit your local Texas John Deere dealer or go to myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crockpot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Bortles. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Dave just gave us a good report on these guys on the Jacksonville defense. But before we get back into our conversation, Nick, what you got for us?
I just got Cowboys are playing Jacksonville this weekend. It's 3:25 at AT&T Stadium. Don't miss a chance to be there. You can actually be in the building, so you can go to DallasCowboys.com and see how you can be there and experience that game live.
That'll be fun. If you've never been out to AT&T Stadium,
Get in there.
You really should give it a shot.
Get in there with all those crazy.
It's an experience, regardless of what happens in the
Jacksonville
games. It's an experience to go to AT&T Stadium for a game. So make sure you check it out.
I think we should do a bit where all of us, at some point in the building, see what kind of spot you can get if you run in at the party pass level.
Just you go in random. You got to go incognito. you got on jersey.
That's one thing you've never really seen before. Like if from our view, we're in the press box. Everything's really quiet, and then all of a sudden they open the doors, and people literally are running. I mean, they are like elbowing and trying to get
Sounds
there.
like something we should make Dave do and film it.
Well, Dave just
Fight
said
the crowd.
before he got
hate
here,
just getting thrown out like that.
The one thing
that's what
You're
happens
wanting
to me.
to get people there. You're not wanting to scare people away.
Wow.
It's a friendly run into the stadium.
A friendly run.
Yes, you first come, first serve type of thing.
Pro tip.
Excuse me, sir.
As somebody who's watched that happen 100 times, everybody makes for the end zone.
Yes.
Go around. Go, the standing room on the 20 and the 30 is nowhere near as quick to fill up as the end zone seats.
Right.
Everybody just sprints straight for those seats by the end zone.
Or the one level up. Like
Yeah,
everybody
or-
goes right to where they are.
or
You
make
can go
for the
one,
stairs.
You can go
You
one
can go
level up.
2
and-
levels
I know,
up.
but I'm saying the one level up is not a huge difference.
Yeah.
But you're going to get right there at the
I
front.
like Dave's idea because the difference between the video board and the end zone inside,
it's different. Yeah.
80-yard screen versus a 20-foot screen.
They've got that like at Boomer Jacks, right?
Yeah, they got a TV. Yeah,
I don't think they got that one at Boomer Jack.
But the point is well made, though.
It is well made,
You
but
can have a view of
I
the
get
biggest
you.
TV in the world or a normal-looking big screen.
Tied for the biggest.
Yeah.
Well, who now?
Jerry's joke.
Oh,
Other side.
oh, God, yeah.
He tells that to me all the time. There's only one just like this. Really? Where? Other side.
Go around.
The new stadium.
There you go. All right, so let's get back into it. I do want to talk a little bit about Alan Hurns. So Alan had a conversation with Josina Anderson, and it's getting to a point now where, like, she's breaking all this kind of stuff. Like, it's whenever a player's saying something that's going to blow up to be something they don't want blown up, it seems like she's somewhere in the mix. Because it was just something with Odell Beckham that she did last week. I think it was last week.
If they don't want it to blow up, they're doing a great job of saying, "Hey, this is how I feel."
Honestly, I honestly don't think that Alan Hurns thought this was going to blow up. I really think he didn't think this was going to blow up. And it's even listening to what he said, and we'll get into what he said in the locker room, but listening to that, I don't think he really believed that what he said was going to blow up to be what it ended up being. But let's get into it. Before, when he talked to Josina Anderson, basically the quote was, sometimes Dak is making the read, sometimes he's not. Sometimes the blocking is there, sometimes it's not. Sometimes, Joe, it's the play calling. And then she pressed him on that and asked him an example of that. And he talked about a play where there was an intersection, in the second interception in the Texans game, where the play call was deep curl routes against two-man, which means you got two guys deep. The corners know they got help over the top, so they tend to play up, which means that if you're running curl routes, they can jump the route. So he's basically saying that we had a horrible call. He said as much. This is a horrible call versus this defense. Obviously, it blew up. And then he goes in the locker room yesterday, and obviously the media wants to give him an opportunity to clarify. And Ken, I think you have that audio of what he said yesterday in the locker room. Can you play that for us?
I didn't question it. Everyone knows that's not a good play call versus two-man. What's so unfortunate for us, that was the only snap of two-man. So it was just an unfortunate situation, but I ain't questioning the play call.
Have you heard from the staff about those comments that you made?
Nah. As far as all that, it's pretty much people outside of here that talks about it. Nobody really talks about it inside.
Do you feel like that statement's made, but there were a lot of other comments that you made about this offense that had you talking about, look, we shoulder the blame in some situations. Like, do you feel like there was not full context given when that statement was made?
Probably so, but as far as me, it's not like, I'm just coming out saying a statement. If people ask the question and I tell them how it is, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but as far as me, I'm just going to tell it how it is, for real, for real.
For real, for real.
For real, for real.
Love it.
For real and then for real, for real.
What I don't like about the first part of that, which wasn't that kind of paraphrased by Josina Anderson?
Yeah, she paraphrased what he was saying on a show that she was doing.
Well, see, then that's a problem because if Alan Hurns said sometimes it's Dak not making the right read, sometimes it's the offensive line.
Yeah,
Right?
sometimes it's the blocking, sometimes it's not. Yeah.
And then sometimes it's the play calling.
Right.
He also said sometimes it's the receivers.
Yeah, he did, right, later.
When was that?
What Jusino paraphrased it, whatever.
Okay. Well, that's what you left out there. I mean, I didn't hear that part. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that wasn't in that part of the quote. It was later when she mentioned the wide
'cause
receiver part.
Yeah, that's not as fun.
That's
to
not
do
as
it
fun.
like that.
That's exactly right.
And that's why you paraphrase. I mean,
But that's
the only
also why
reason you paraphrase is to get it the way you want it to sound.
Right.
And
that's
sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to do that because of the way the player's all over the map, or what Jerry or somebody is all over the place, and you kind of need to paraphrase it. But in that sense, when you don't include yourself right there, I mean, he needs to say that. Sometimes our guys don't get open. Sometimes when they do, they push the ball up in the air and let anyone intercept it. So it's all of them. But I mean, I thought he did a nice job yesterday of clarifying. He didn't back down. He didn't like the play call. He doesn't have to like it.
Yeah, but that's also the thing. That's why I don't think when I said I don't think he really thought this was going to blow up.
Yeah,
is because when you listen to the whole context of what he said, and as he mentioned it yesterday, like it was much more than just saying the play caller was the problem. He was saying we got blocking issues at times, we got passing issues at times, we got receiver issue at times, and sometimes the play calling's not right. Right? Guess what? Those are probably the 4 things that have to go in every offensive play. So if you're a team that's 2-3, you're going to have some problems probably in all of those 4 things at some point that help you get to 2-3. So I honestly believe he thought he was just making a really bland statement by saying, yeah, all these different things have to share the blame in what's going wrong offensively. He didn't expect it to blow up like this.
But it does because what you do is you pick through what you like and you pull that out and then you paraphrase it in a certain way. And if you can actually listen to what we heard, you can kind of see that reporting was also getting dissected by another reporter who does a very similar thing. So I mean, there's a lot going on with that whole thing, and I don't think Alan Hurns thought what he said was a big deal, but and really it isn't. It isn't a big deal. But as long as you include yourself in that too, and I think he did later. He did when he talked about it yesterday. He said,
"Well, which I came away from. My main impression is I'm just impressed with Alan Hurns as a person. Like he stood up and talked after the game, and then he talked again on Tuesday,
right?
And then he talked to Jacina, and then he came back and pressed him to clarify that, and he talked again. Like so, kudos to him for not shying away. I don't know that everybody would have done that."
We want these guys to be honest.
Yeah.
And when they are, then they get ripped sometimes. Right. And he said it's not a good play call. That's okay. I mean, that's okay. But I've written some stories that probably they aren't very good. There's some that aren't very good. No. I mean, 2013, I think I wrote one, and then maybe 2007. I'm kidding. Kidding.
I was about to say that one in 2013 was really good.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, when it's bad, it's bad. I mean, sometimes it is, and that's okay. I mean, you want players to have thick skin. Same with coaches. Bad play call.
He talked on Sunday, and he also was like, I specifically said like I include myself in that. Like we left plays on the field in that game, and we can't do that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. He's like, I don't question the play call, but publicly saying that it's a bad play is kind of questioning the play call.
But here's my thing. The way he describes it, I don't honestly think that it was the play call that was the problem.
Well,
to me, the problem is nobody audibled out of it. Yeah. Because think about it. When you're calling in a play, you don't know how the defense is going to line up yet. You make the play call.
Yeah.
And then they see. And then what he said is in the pre-snap reads, we saw that was not what they were doing. At that point, it has to be on the quarterback to change the play, or you're just going to run right into it, right?
Straight up, like during the course of this media cycle, like I've had 3 or 4 conversations. It's like, is Hurns calling out Linehan, or is he calling out Dak Prescott? Which and
think of it like
enough
this.
blame to go around.
And I don't know the answer to this, so therefore I'm not trying to defend anyone. But let's just say that earlier in the game, your head coach threw out a challenge for a play that absolutely was not going to get overturned.
Just happened to maybe
just wanted
happen.
to do it, even though the ball hit him probably in the leg because it bounced off of Tavon's hands. But you challenged it anyway. So what does that mean? No timeout. Then in that play, let's just say, I don't know this, but let's just say that the call comes in, it's loud, you can't hear it, all of a sudden it's 10 seconds to go. What are you going to call, another timeout because you don't really love this play? Or are you going to have to just kind of do it? So I'm not blaming Dak for that. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying there's more to it sometimes than you get a play call, you're doing it, the guy's lined up, That's what Romo's issue with Dez half the time was getting him from over here to over here.
That's all fair, but in that scenario you painted, I still take the timeout. Even if I was already down one, I still take that timeout because exactly what happened is what can happen when you got a horrible play versus the defense that you see.
Well,
it's better to take the timeout than to turn the ball over.
There, it comes full circle this morning when Jason Garrett's like, I don't agree with that. I mean, there's, some plays work better against certain coverages than others, but we have run that play against that coverage successfully in the past.
Who? Is what I want.
Well, no, and you got to execute better.
Yeah,
obviously.
and what kind of cornerback is out there too?
Yeah, probably not to Deontay.
They're probably not going to do that this week against Jacksonville.
Probably not to Deontay Thompson.
Career high 23 catches.
Right.
Ever in his career in a season. So I mean, I'm just saying he's not a guy that's going to go and fight and win and all that stuff. I'm sure Matt Ryan doesn't like every play he sees, and there's times where the guy's not really open, but he sees number 11, he's going to take his chances.
But that's one of the criticisms that you hear, at least from fans, that I hear a lot of Dak versus Romo, is that obviously we knew Romo managed the game, and what I mean by that is they called a play in, but Romo, we know, did what he was going to do. He went out there, he saw the defense, he made adjustments. Now, maybe that's once you get a little bit farther into your career and you really have seen so much to where you really can make those kind of determinations, then coaches trust you to be able to do that. Maybe Dak's not at that point yet. But that is a stark contrast, I think, at least how fans see it from watching the games and what they hear.
It's a big problem that what this offense has right now, because I feel that you can't really trust anybody. Your receiver can't trust your quarterback. Your quarterback can't trust the receiver or trust the play calling to a certain level because, like you mentioned, Romo had the ability to hear what the coaches were saying, but then make his own decision based on what he was seeing on the field. Dak doesn't have that kind of experience or that kind of voice or power to do so just yet. So there's just a lot. And when you hear the players, and this is nothing new as far as doubting the play calling. I was hearing this from players last year. Obviously, I don't go around telling people, but this is something I was already hearing last year, and you still got going on, and you still aren't able to find ways to solve it. And like I mentioned yesterday, this is where Jason Garrett take charge, make the decisions that you think you need to make. I mean, your job is on the line right now, and everybody knows it. I'm sure he knows it. So it's not like, let's just, everything's good here, guys. Or when he makes a mistake there, what Dave was saying about that call, it's like, just admit it. It's okay to admit you're wrong. I get more respect out of that than you just standing there saying, well, we've done that before and it works against those defenses. No, just admit it. So there's just no trust all the way around in the whole offense. The only person I trust is Ezekiel Elliott.
But I will say this, and I saw this.
Think about that statement.
I will say this.
Seriously.
I know, right? I will say this, though. I saw on Twitter yesterday, your co-host from Cover 4, Jesse Holly, he said something I thought fit in really well with that. He said, this is what happens in a locker room where there's losing. Because what tends to happen, if you're winning, guess what? There's still probably guys that don't necessarily agree with this play call or necessarily agree with this play call. But you're winning, and so nobody has a reason to say it. It's the same reason why at Monday we had the show that we had, and if the Cowboys would have been able to convert that 4th and 1 and go on to win that game, we would have had a much different conversation. When you're winning, you just kind of sweep all the bad under the rug, and you don't worry about it. When you're losing, you're looking for every reason why you're losing, and that's when all that stuff gets exposed.
We spent 45 combined seconds talking about the stupidity on the goal line against Detroit, not giving the ball to Zeke.
Right.
Barely talked about it because
they would have lost, though.
If they would have lost,
it might have been a whole show.
It would have been a whole show. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We're back tomorrow. We're going to wrap up this thing and let you guys know what's going to happen this weekend. Cowboys versus Jaguars. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?